Hey there, welcome or welcome back, depending on if you've been here with me before. You're welcome either way, we like to have you. Now then, it's Sunday. We need to cook some food for the grandkids, and today I'm going to throw together a southern classic that I think's gotten kind of a bad name in recent years. Today we're going to make some meatloaf, and it's a heck of a lot better than a lot of you probably remember. Stick with me on this one. We'll have some fun. Alright, we are going to start out by making one of the more important but kind of lesser hyped ingredients of meatloaf, breadcrumb. Now, I've got some salt and pepper crackers here. Doesn't have to be any special kind of cracker, but I'm going to throw those in our Ninja food processor. Making some good use out of this thing since we've got it. I have to say, there have been a couple jokes thrown around here and there about myself and Joanne buying a bunch of Ninja products lately. We've got the wood fire grill, we've got the food processor, we've got the ice cream maker, the Ninja Creamy. There might be another one that's about to appear. I don't know if Joanne's mentioned it yet. I'm going to let her unbox it first, though. If you notice, though, I'm using them more than she does, and they're good stuff. I can't complain. They're not sponsoring me. I wish they would, but I still recommend them. So, I'm going to go ahead and cut the sound a bit here, give you a little bit of music while we blitz these up because, well, it is loud. It's a food processor. What do you expect? We'll be right back. Okay, we've got those initially blitzed up, and we're now going to add a bit more to these before we move on. I'm going to add some coarse salt, and again, I do recommend coarse here rather than table salt. When we're blending everything up together, it just adds an extra grit in there that's going to help everything grind and mix together well. And then it does break down in the cooking. Because it breaks down slower than normal salt, it just makes it better. If you don't have coarse salt in the house, I highly recommend getting some. Alright, I'm also going to add some black pepper. And unfortunately we are back to one of these silly grinder things. Gives you almost nothing at a time. So I get some of that in there. I'm going to throw in some mixed herb. And you'll see I use this a lot. This comes up a lot in all sorts of cooking that I do. Reason for it is, it gives you that nice background kind of herbal earthiness. And even if you don't notice it's in there, it just adds that little extra something to the back of the dish. And we're going to add, and this might not be quite traditional, some Italian style cheese, aka fake Parmesan. You can add real Parmesan if you want. I wouldn't recommend it just because real Parmesan is really expensive. And this is basically the same stuff made in a different place. And yeah, the whole difference between Italian hard cheese, Parmesan, and Parmesan Reggiano, if you've never looked into it, check it out. The only difference between the three of them is where they make it. And then, another bit of a textural element, but to add to what we just blitzed up into where's my head today? Into breadcrumbs. I'm also going to add some panko. And again, what we're doing is we're building up layers of texture here. So the blitzed up cracker that I've done and the panko breadcrumb that I'm about to blitz, they're going to add different textures to this and add more depth, okay? I'll play you another tune while we spin this again. Okay, we are back. My camera just decided to die on me, so I'm hoping that last bit recorded. If it didn't, though, we've added our ketchup, our Worcestershire sauce, and our salt to our meat and minced it up. From there, we need to add some egg. This is going to be, along with the breadcrumb, what's going to start helping to bind all of this stuff together. And because I'm making a decent amount of this, I'm going to go ahead and put 2 of them in there. Throw my eggshells off in my little garbage storage I've got to the side there. And then I'm going to add nowhere near all of this, but I'm going to add some breadcrumb. Throw the lid back on. I'll spin you another song as this thing goes round again. Welcome back. Okay, now we can tell that this Ninja is a decent mixer because even though that breadcrumb was on top and it was much lighter than the meat, it's pulled it down in there. That's great. That's exactly what we wanted. Now for the messy and fun part. Give me just a second. Okay, as you can see, I've got one of my loaf pans with a liner in it ready. If you don't have liners for the loaf pan, just put some greaseproof paper, or I've even used foil before. You want something that's going to make it easy to break this thing away from the tin so that it doesn't get molded in. Now then, we're going to take a bit of our breadcrumb. And we're going to take some of our meat. And this should hold its shape fairly easily at this point. If it does not, then you need to add enough egg or breadcrumb to the meat itself. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to form up a shape, a loaf shape, if you will. I know, these mind-blowing truths and revelations that I give you guys, right? And I'm going to roll this in crumb, and once again this is going to help with everything binding together. because in a few minutes I'm going to make a sauce that I'm going to pour around this. And this bread crumb on the outside is going to help soak up all of that flavor. Now that's going to drop right there. And that's one of them ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and do another one exactly the same way, and then I'll be back with you. Alright, so we've got 2 meatloafs in our tins ready to go. And we have a mini one because I'll send one over to Emma and Ash's house for them to try it out. Emma and Joanne will be home within a couple hours, so she can take that one back with her when she goes. Now then, before these go in the oven though, they still need sauce, because a meatloaf without sauce is, I mean, I guess technically it is still a meatloaf, but it's just not going to be a great one. And we're going to start out the sauce with some chopped tomato. Now, a lot of people will just tell you just to use ketchup as your meatloaf base. And you can. You certainly can. But you can use a lot of ketchup. So, I start out with chopped tomatoes, bulks it out, still adds that tomatoey flavor, and then we go for the ketchup. And true, you might not be making 3 of these things like I am, but, you know, every little bit helps, right? I am going to add a bit more Leon Perrins here as well, some continuity. And then I need to grab a spoon, and we're going to add some chopped garlic. Now, what I'm doing for you here today is a fairly basic meatloaf. What I mean by that is not to say this is not good. This is going to be good. But this is a base for you to add to. When you're mincing up, and when you're blitzing up that meat, you can add corn, peas, diced jalapenos, gherkin, chopped tomato, chopped onion, spring onion, shallot. Add what you want to that. If you want to put some different bits in there, or if you want to use pork mince and beef mince, or pork mince instead of beef mince, or turkey mince, you can do all of those. And they'll all still make a really great meatloaf. When you're doing your sauce, if you want it to be more barbecue-y, add barbecue sauce, add some brown sugar. If you want it to be spicier, add some hot sauce, add Tabasco, add Frank's. I'm catering to my audience today. My audience is my grandkids, so I'm keeping this one nice and easy. I'm not adding any of the crazy stuff, but take this recipe and add to it. Let me know in the comments. What do you add to your meatloaf? What do you think people should be throwing in this thing? And if one of you has an especially great idea, I'll make sure to pin it so that everybody sees it. So there we go. Now then, for this sauce, I need a lid, and I'll sing you another tune as we blitz it up. Alright, there we are. Now then, I'm going to take this and I'm going to pour some of it over this first meatloaf. There we are. So that's how it's going to look when we throw it in the oven a little bit. Now, why did I only put it on one of them, you're going to ask me? You're going to ask me this because I've decided you're going to ask me this. Because this next meatloaf is going to be for the grown-ups in the house and for Emma's house. And we both like it a bit hotter. So, to this, I am going to go ahead and add some hot sauce. I'm also going to dig around in the cupboard for a minute. And then I have a bottle that I haven't opened yet, of course. And I'm going to add a bit of barbecue sauce as well. Spin that round again. Okay, we are about 45 minutes in now, and it's time to have a quick look at these guys. I'm blind now, glasses are fogged up. Those are looking lovely to me. I'll grab my thermometer and check the temps, and we'll go from there. Okay, so yeah, I checked the temps with my thermometer. Didn't film it because trying to balance an oven, a container, a thermometer, camera, etc. But at about 145, we want them to be about 160, that's Fahrenheit. So I'm going to give them another 15 minutes. The glaze on the top of them looks like it's set really well. No need for anything additional adding to that right now. So we'll be back in 15. Alright, 15 more minutes. We're starting to get a bit of blackening on there. Most of that's the seeds, but a little bit on the end. We've got one that's burst a little bit. That's fine. Right, I'm going to take these out of here and let them cool off. And then we'll have a chat and I'll show you. Alright, so apologies. I know we have had some dropped film today. A few camera issues that I'm trying to work out. old camera, and I'm still trying to remember how I actually used to know how to use it, so, you know. But we've got our meatloaf. It's resting now. Those flavors are getting to know each other a bit. We need something to go with it. I'm going to do some green beans, but I'm not going to just do any green beans. Let's do some deep fried green beans. Alright, 1 minute. Okay, I've got us a dish ready here. I have washed our green beans, and I have left them wet. That does play into making this all work right. I've also got our leftover breading mix from our meatloaf. Hopefully you've watched the whole video before you started cooking it and you didn't throw this out yet. Gonna throw an egg in with that breading. And toss that around in there. Gonna add a bit of flour to it as well to start with. And I'm also gonna throw a bit of flour on the beans themselves right now. Toss that around, and I want to do this bit before I finish doing the rest of these bits, because I want to give this flour a chance to kind of dry on these beans. That's going to help everything else stick to them in just a few minutes. There we go. Now then, I've mixed egg and flour in here. As you can see, it's very dry, so I'm going to need some milk for it, and I'm going to need to go grab that milk because I didn't get it in advance, let's be honest. Alright, I'm back. Milk goes in. Stir it up. Don't add too much at once. You want to be watching for the consistency. I'll show you what it is when we find it. Apologies for the laughing in the background. Grandkids and their dad are having fun. Okay, now, that's actually a bit thinner than we want for our final mix, which is good, because now I'm going to add some cornmeal as well. I've talked about cornmeal before and the different texture it gives you from flour, especially in a batter. So I'm going to grab that. And for the record, that time I did have it nearby. I just didn't have it within reach. It was on the wrong side. Alright, we'll add a couple scoops of cornmeal. Mix it in. And then that's going over our beans. I think someone's dying in the other room. Alright, now I'm just going to toss, well, I say toss. I'm going to move these beans around in this kind of lumpy batter that we've got. There we go. And I'm going to let them sit in that while I heat up the fryer. Alright, let's get some beans and some oil. You can grab these a couple at a time, or more if you like. I tend to find that if you grab too many at once, they will try to bunch up and stick together in there. So a couple sticking together is fine, but you don't want them all in one giant lump. And you will probably get some spitting and sputtering. Green beans have water in them, so as they open up and water gets released, it hits oil. Oil and water don't like each other, they're going to have an argument. But it's okay, let them argue. Just don't let them get you involved. Alright, I'm going to let that first batch cook off, and then I'll do the rest of them in a minute. Some bits will come off, that's normal, but you're going to be left with some nice crunchy bits on those beans. Back with you when they're out. We are back. Make sure you drip these off good before they come out. That one's being difficult. Fried green beans. I'll be plating up in a minute. I'll show you the meatloaf and where we're at then. Back again. I finished frying off the last of those green beans. I had a bit of batter in that bowl left. So, although these aren't really hush puppies, but in very much the same way that I did with my fish batter, I just took that leftover batter, rolled it up on some spoons, frying that off. Lovely little bit of side bread for you, or showing you how I make these little things then. Basically, I've got our leftover batter. I'm going to take it and I'm just going to roll it across a couple spoons, kind of a loose cornell, I guess you could say, if you want it to be fancy. And we're just going to throw those in the oil. Give them a couple minutes. Nice little side treat for you, or very happy dogs if not for you. Give those a couple more minutes. Right, we are in the home stretch for tea. I'm going to go ahead and get one of our meatloafs. See how easy that comes out of the tin whenever you put a lining on it? Now then, I'm going to move the camera so you can get a good look at this whenever I cut into it. Okay, here we go. I'm being gentle with it because I don't want it to break up. The longer you leave it, the more solid it will be. But I'm applying almost no pressure, just enough to break that surface. And then the knife just slides right through it. And there you go, meatloaf. If you really want, you can throw some extra ketchup on top of it, but that nice red line all the way around it already has all that ketchupy goodness in it. I'm going to go ahead and plate up. Before I do though, I will give you another top tip. When you've got your meatloaf, the next day, if you want to warm it back up, don't just stick it in the microwave. Heat up a frying pan, throw it on its side, fry off the edges, get some nice crispiness on them. Even better than straight off the loaf. Alright, let me plate up now. And there we go. Meatloaf dinner, ready to eat.